Well, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. Mississippi State lost another transfer player to the transfer portal. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com. My name is Jaron Spoor. I'm a national college football writer for Athlon Sports. That's Landon, and we are Locked On Mississippi State. Today, we're going to talk about the men's basketball team losing another player to the transfer portal. We're also going to talk about the football team gaining a player at a key position in the transfer portal, so you don't want to miss that. And then we have the SEC portal winners and losers. Where does Mississippi State fall in that category? You'll have to stay till the end of the show, and we'll talk about that. Let's start with some bad news. We hardly knew you, Sam Walters. He commits the big man he was obviously at Michigan last year. The year before, he was at Alabama. Shot 36% from three last year. The year before was 39% for 38% for his career. Hey, we talked about this a lot. It looked like a really big key addition. We did a whole podcast about it. Not just him, but several pieces that we're going to add all this shooting. And before players started to sign, he decides, no, he wants to go to SMU. So kind of what's your first reaction when you heard the news?
NIL talks. That's first one, but no, this one hurts. And then not to get off him too quickly, but then to double down on that, Eric Payman then enters the portal. So you're down another power forward right after you lose him. So, I mean, it's just, we've been talking about how they need bigs, and we thought we had one that was exactly what you needed. A guy who could shoot the three, score a little bit, and before you even get him really on campus, he's gone.
Yeah, and SMU's a weird team. They went 24-11 last year, but Andy Enfield's a really good coach, and he kind of fits the style that they want to play. But you know, they've been kind of up and down recently. They went 10-22 just 2 years ago, and obviously Mississippi State's made 3 straight tournament appearances. But we've talked about it; they've been hit big time by the portal, and so it's making this year unknown. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was, you know, I got offered a starting job out here. I mean, you mentioned the NIL, and that's probably part of it too. I'm not saying it's not.
SMU's throwing money around.
Yeah, and they have that oil money, so they're able to do a lot of that.
Oil money, and
they got a lot of stuff. But it was also might have been like, hey, come here, you will start. Whereas at Mississippi State, it wasn't a guarantee.
Yeah.
So, but it's another tough loss because we talked about when the season ended, they had to add shooting. And they've done that. Overall, they've done that. But this was one of those key shooters.
This hit everything.
Yeah, that we were raving about. And it was just a brutal loss. And the weird thing is, it's not like he was from Texas. He's from Florida. So it's not like it was like, well, I want to go home. But
it makes more sense than going to Michigan.
Right. Hey, this is his 4th team, technically, in 3 years. So a lot of moving.
Problem. No.
Yeah.
No, this one hurts. It really does. I've said it, but when you have you're looking for shooting and big men, and you get a big man that can shoot, and he's gone. And then, like I mentioned, right after it, one of the younger guys on your team who could have been a key role player, maybe his key backup, hits the portal right after him. It's kind of, I mean, we mentioned Aker. I mean, I think he might be the only power forward left on the roster at this point. He hasn't played a lot, but you're relying on him now if the season was to start. So, I mean, we're still looking for big men.
Right. And you mentioned Eric Payman. He was part of the 2024 class. Freshman, he was a 3-star on 2 sides, 4-star on another one. He wasn't ranked on Rivals, but he was a top 175 player in the country. He is from Mississippi. So that was a home state guy. He picked you over Ole Miss as one of the teams. But he also, decided I got into the portal as well. And so You know, he averaged 23 points and 10 rebounds per game as a senior and was the Mississippi Gatorade Player of the Year. EJ Payment is kind of what he goes by, but Eric is, if you search up Eric, that's what On3 has him as, but EJ is what he goes by. So this was a guy that you were hoping would be a really good contributor for you, especially in the future. He was 6'9", 230 pounds. Like, there was a lot of things you liked about this kid, and before he can even get his career underway as a, as an on the court player, he's gone.
Yeah, the hits just keep on coming in the portal. You just scroll down, like you're looking at 247, wherever you're looking at to tracks the portal. It's like everyone that leaves has size. Payman, Falmena, I mean, a no-star recruit, but 6'11", 250. I mean, come on. Like, that's at least a body you can throw out there no matter how good he is. I'm not familiar with his. I mean, it's just rough. And we thought, like I said, we thought we filled a hole.
Right.
And now the hole is still there.
Right. Yeah, it's just crazy because, Payman, he redshirted obviously this last year, but now he marked 6 players from last year's team to enter the transfer portal. That's not including the players that are no longer on the team because they graduated, like Cameron Matthews. It's not counting that guy. These are 6 players that have entered the portal, and you've only brought in 4 now because you obviously lose Sam Walters. Now, you signed a pretty good class that you liked, obviously. We've talked about that, but, man, you just can't keep taking these hits.
You can't. I mean, right now it's about to be Hubbard and the boys. Like, it's just going to be him and whoever else is left standing by the time the season starts. That's really what it feels like. And we were pretty excited at one point with who they had returning, who they had, the freshmen coming in, some possibilities in the portal. And now we're more confused than when this whole process started at this point, because you like some of the guys that have come in, like Amir Ali. I think he has a chance to be a star, but again, very limited playing time. You don't really know exactly what you're getting with him.
Right.
It's just a lot of question marks around this team, which are somehow bigger than the question marks we had when the season ended.
Well, and what it does, it's putting pressure on the freshmen. And I told you I don't like expecting stuff from freshmen, but this is the number 11 class in the country.
Great class.
It's led by King Grace, who was a number 61 player in the country.
Great name.
Great name, according to 24/7 Sports. You had 2 guys in the top 100, and all 4 guys were in the top 125. And you had a shooting guard, 2 centers, and a small forward in this class. One center is like a 6'9", 214. Probably will play more of a power forward type role. That's Jamarian Davis Fleming. And the other guy's 6'10", 274. So he'll definitely be a center. He won't have to start because you have Quincy Ballard, and you hope Jamarian doesn't have to start because you got Ali or whoever you want to play at the 4. If you want to go, small ball, you could obviously go with Ali. I mean, obviously he's 6'9", but he's 227. He's 6'8", 175. I was thinking of Aker. You could go at power forward,
right?
Who's 6'9", almost 230. So they could be backup pieces to these guys, but someone like King Grace, he might have to be playing a lot because he's a shooting guard. And we talked about Jabari McGee is 6'1", and you already have another guy that's 5'10" that's in your backcourt. So you probably don't want to put 2 of those, with Hubbard. You probably don't want to put 2 of those back there. So King Grace might be asked to play a lot of minutes early on and be a big contributor early on.
Yeah, I mean, and he's high enough where, like, from a recruiting standpoint, if he has to play, you're thinking, okay, that's fine. He's one of those players who's ranked high enough.
He's top 65.
You don't feel weird about throwing him out there. There's some times when you look and you're like, man, these guys are having to start this freshman. But he's not one of those guys like that. You want to have another option in the building to where you're not forced to start him. And if he beats him out, great. That means everything's working perfectly.
Well, the interesting thing is 24/7 has him listed as a shooting guard, but he's also only 6'2", and he's listed as a point guard on 3 and some other sites. But so you got a lot of short guards right now. So you're gonna have to. I mean, the portal closes today, Friday.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what they can add. Now, as long as you get your name put in before Friday, like, you can always sign players afterwards as long as you're in. But I mean, now you got some work to do, and maybe the Walter spot opens that up where you can go find you a shooting guard or something, or maybe you're going to go bigger and Amir Ali plays the shooting guard. You never know what they'll end up going with. But
good news is the portal's about to close.
Yeah. Then you shouldn't have any more losses. Fingers crossed. So we'll see what happens. But all right, coming up next, the football team added a key player to a key position. We'll talk about that. That's coming up next. All right. Well, did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? We'll turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Well, when you play with the Wi-Fi 6 or the 6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? Well, get rid of it. A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you plug in. I'm someone that likes to game a lot, and I'm telling you right now, if I would have known about this before buying a console last year, I would have got rid of that console because this is going to save you a lot of money in the long run. This is it. This is all you have to do. It's very easy. Head over to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices include Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, so earlier this week we talked about some visitors that were in town, but one player we didn't talk about, I never even read that he visited. I don't know if he did or not, but he committed. That's Jaekwon Bouldin. He is from Canton, Mississippi, and he spent his last season at Purdue. Before that, he was at Mississippi Gulf Coast Junior College, and when he was there, he helped an offensive line that averaged 235.6 rushing yards per game and 210.2 passing yards per game. He played in 13 games and helping the team win 12 times during that time. He then goes to Purdue, injures himself in the offseason, doesn't play at all. I'm assuming, I haven't seen, I'm assuming he redshirted. So he would get 2 years. Well, actually, he would get 3 years because it was JUCO. So because of the JUCO year. So he'll have 3 years. But this is a massive human. I mean, he was listed at Purdue at 6'6", 345 pounds. That's someone that you can play at guard or tackle, probably more tackle because how tall he is, but how big he is, he can play guard. I'm going to say that's probably a little too much weight. He needs to probably get that down closer to the 320 range, but this is a mammoth of a guy, and it can't hurt.
Right. So when I saw how big he was, and we talked earlier this week about Blake Steen, the UVA transfer who's visiting, and how big he is and how they're both listed at tackles, we're seeing Phil Oldholt's prototype. He's looking for guys that looked like him.
Yeah, I mean, say him.
he was listed 6'8", 345 when he played, so he's just trying to find guys that size to play tackle. I like this signing. I mean, obviously you would have liked to seen him play at Purdue, but I believe it was like a broken hand or broken wrist, something along the lines that it's not something that you're worried about cropping back up. It's not like a degenerative, like he keeps injuring an ACL or anything. It's just one of those injuries. But yeah, 6'6", 345, probably a right tackle would be my guess. Yeah. I mean, maybe you slide him inside, but it's a big get. And we've talked about how bad they need bodies on that offensive line. And maybe this is just kind of he wants to come here. We're just going to keep throwing bodies until we get some guys who can play.
Yeah. Obviously we lost the kid from, golly, I'm blanking on his name. Who did we lose at, he was projected as a starting tackle. I can't think of his name right now.
Jesse Ramil.
Yes, Jesse Ramil. We lost him, so you had to add someone. And while this guy doesn't have D1 experience yet, he was at a JUCO, and did really well at that JUCO. And again, he's a big human. Obviously you don't know his technique, picking up the offense. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into being able to play and play at a high level and play at an SEC level. But when you have a guy that big, the SEC ain't going to overpower him. You would hope not. You would hope a lot of that weight is strength and not just like being overweight or something. But looking at him, it doesn't look like that. It looks like a guy that is very strong.
It looks like good weight. It doesn't look like he's got a lot of bad weight on there. You hope he comes in and can slot in pretty seamlessly. I mean, now that this guy is coming in with Loldholt established as the offensive line coach, you hope that he's going to stick around because it's like Loldholt's like, this is my guy. I like what he does, so he's going to fit what I want to do. So hopefully he can slot in pretty seamlessly. There's always going to be a learning curve anytime you go to a new team, regardless of increase or drop in competition. There's a learning curve in slotting into a new team. So hopefully he can pick it up quickly, but I hope they're not done on the offensive line yet, though.
Yeah, and everything I've read says he's hoping to make an immediate impact at tackle for Mississippi State. And, Jeff Levy and Loadhold are looking for very big guys to kind of hold down the edges of their offense, and he's a guy that could do that. And they're expecting him, 24/7 has an article about it. They're expecting him to be an immediate contributor, a major contributor. Yeah. But he was asked about it, and he said, and again, this is on 24/7 Sports if you want to look at it, but he says it feels really good to be back home playing football in the state of Mississippi. He said, my family does not have to travel very far to see me play. They're able to drive less than 2 hours up the road to see me and the Bulldogs in action. I'm ready to get around some new faces and a whole new coaching staff. So that's another thing with this that we've talked about in the past. Just those homegrown people and players just have a different pride for playing for their home state program. And that goes for every state. I'm not saying just Mississippi. That's every state. If someone is from Texas and they go to the University of Texas, that's special to them. If they're from California and they go to USC, that's special from Georgia to Georgia. Again, it's just a special thing. You grew up watching these teams or hearing about these teams or whatever. Yeah. And so it just seems like this just means something to him.
And if you can get those guys from your area and they play well at your program, it makes it easier to continue to get the good players from your area to come to your program. Hopefully I really hope he slots in. Maybe the strategy is if we can't get guys who are going to be technicians, we just get the largest people possible so they have to run farther around them to the quarterback. Not the worst strategy. Right. It's something. Hopefully it all starts to click into place with how the offensive line kind of seeming to be. I'm hoping some of this works out because that's how you derail this season is that offensive line is bad, and hopefully this shores up one tackle position.
Yeah, and the one thing I love about this, I think it was Tuesday when he committed. It was either Monday or Tuesday, but he said he committed and enrolled immediately. And he did say he had 3 years of eligibility, so we do know that for sure. But he enrolled immediately. That means he's getting to work now. Like some of these guys, you can commit and then sign kind of whenever, but
for a while.
Right. And you have to move. It sounds like he came ready to commit when he got here on the trip, and he committed and enrolled, and that means he can get right into the playbook, can get right into working with some of the. I don't know if they can work with the strength and conditioning coaches yet. I can't remember all the NCAA rules on that. But he can at least get around some of the guys, and that's big.
Yeah, that's big. Because that's something that's big that a lot of people don't think about with offensive line. It doesn't always come down to individual talent. Obviously, that matters. But when you have a group that works as a unit and, chemistry is a big part, and that is built off the field as much as it is on the field.
Absolutely. Just going to dinners, anything.
You can be around the guys, start to build that chemistry, and then you get him in there. That's huge. And hopefully he's one of those guys that really kind of one of those anchors along the line that while he might not be the greatest, we don't have to worry about this guy. He's going to go out there. He's going to do his work. He's going to play well.
Yeah. And so coming up next, I mentioned earlier the spring transfer portal that ends on Friday. I think I actually said that for basketball. That's actually football that ends Friday. there's the SEC winners and losers of the portal has been announced. Where does Mississippi State fall in that? We'll talk about it coming up.
The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so SEC Mike, who's well-known in the podcast world, especially in the SEC, he gave out his winners and losers. Actually, he tweeted this. It's actually from Athlon Stephen Layson, who we've mentioned many times, Athlon Sports. He gave out his winners and losers from the spring portal cycle. And so his winners were Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. Hard to argue with that. They all got either a lot of depth or added stars or all that. Spring portal losers, Tennessee. Again, hard to argue. You lose your starting quarterback. And I get it can kind of be addition by subtraction, maybe. But
Ewing theory,
yeah, you lost your starting quarterback. And you replaced him with someone that got benched at Appalachian State. So it's not the best thing going on.
Play Michigan, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Alabama was on there. LSU was on there. Texas A&M was on there. And Mississippi State was a loser on there. So what was your thoughts when you first saw that?
I don't think this might be a hot take. I don't think Mississippi State's a loser, but I don't think they're a winner. I think they fall into that middle ground where, you lost players, but no one you lost was really an impact guy. And you haven't added anyone that you're just screaming yes, this guy is a difference maker. But they've done well. They haven't come out in the hands empty. That's why, obviously you want them to do more, and maybe that's why he's had them in the losers side, is because you want a massive jump in this year, and you didn't reel in any of the super high end talent. But when you're not really having a massive subtraction, to me, it's hard to say you're a loser. I think honestly, kind of broke even and should be in that middle ground.
Okay, so that's an interesting take from it, and I don't necessarily disagree. But this is what I tweeted when it happened. I said it's kind of hard to argue that they're not, they're not losers. But I do agree with you. But in terms of it, I really wouldn't probably put them in either one. But I understand why they're in the loser category, because outside of Bouldin, they haven't added pieces at the offensive line that we know had to get fixed.
Right.
You talked about it all week, how poor the spring game was and how poor the offensive line played in the spring game. And that's the sign for what's to come. They haven't added O-line as of yet, and they haven't added, other than Bouldin, obviously, they haven't added O-line pieces, and they haven't added tight end, which is another position we talked about. So when you look at that, it's hard to argue they're being a loser, but if you had to ask me which one are they, if I had to pick one, I'd pick loser.
Right.
But I would say they're probably more middle of the pack. Didn't lose a lot, but didn't gain a lot. They're just there.
When you can literally lose players and they haven't lost anyone of impact, I don't know how you can say they're a loser. You can say, they should have added more, and maybe they're the last team before you get to the quote-unquote losers, but I don't – I want them to do more. I want so much more, but I'm not going to call them a loser just because they didn't add more. They didn't lose anything, so how can you be a loser? I guess is my point.
No, you make a great point there, and that is, again, I understand both sides, and I agree with you in terms of if I had to pick, I'd probably have a middle ground, but I do understand putting them as a loser because you had to address the offensive line, and you really haven't up to this point. Bouldin, I think Bouldin has a chance to be very good, and he's obviously going to be a major contributor this year, but I thought they needed to add probably 3 offensive linemen, honestly.
Yeah, and you add some younger, I would Honestly, I'd shoot for adding younger ones. The guys with 3 or even 4.
Well, and Bouldin's not young, but he's got 3 years. So that's a great one.
The 3 or 4 years of eligibility, like, yeah, it might be a little rough this year, but if you get a guy who's kind of raw and you can shape him and he's going to be here for 3 years, great. That's what you want. You don't necessarily want a whole line of transfers that are out the door in 9 months.
Yeah, and I thought they needed to add tight end too, and they still can.
They still
even
can.
With the ending today, they still can add players. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over on Athlon Sports. I write a lot of college football, a lot of NFL. Even if you're an NBA fan, write about that as well. So check that out. Follow Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We post videos on all that, so check that out. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.